spots are a length. On the outside, here's the great dog moving along the inside twice, going up along the inside, just the turn goes through fast, then away on the outside is Langley Fire, followed along by English Soul with Bonnie Bride. Tom Rose and the last was Outbreaker. Now they move on down the back straight.
Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We pillage, we plunder, we rifle and loot, drink out me hearties, yo ho. We kidnap and ravage and don't give a hoot, drink out me hearties, yo ho. Yo ho, a pirate's life for me.
I can end the deficit in 5 minutes. You just pass a law that says that anytime there's a deficit of more than 3% of GDP, all sitting members of Congress are ineligible for re-election. Yeah. Now you've got the incentives in the right place, right?
Okay, so this just happened to me recently. I went to Spain, France, and Italy. And, you know, when I have too much gluten or I have too much dairy or anything, it hurts. It hurts my stomach. It sharp pains. It hurts. I had many entire bowls of pasta covered in cheese and creamy, milky dairy sauces, and I felt amazing. I could have done American Ninja Warrior after that entire bowl of pasta. What is in American food that is messing me up? Is it the wheat? Is it the GMO wheat? Is it the hormones and stuff we put in the milk? I'm like shocked, and I need to know that there's more people like me. So tell me if this has ever happened to you.
Kolla här.
Vad var det? En lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Ni är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja, de vet vad de gör.
Pappa! Pappa!
Harry, det är lugnt. Harry!
Another crazy billionaire, Bill Gates, says there's too many of us. His thing by 2030 is to depopulate the planet, and I just wondered, like, are we part of the population that he wants to depopulate? Says there's too many of us. And he says it, and people go, it's a conspiracy theory. This is a conspiracy theory. He said it. You can go on YouTube. He said Bill Clinton. Bill Gates. I'm sorry, I was thinking about Epstein's Island for a second. So, Bill Gates, you go see on YouTube, he says one of the goals by 2030 is to lower the population of the planet, and one of the ways to do that is using vaccines. It's like, what? And people go, no, that's a conspiracy theory. So he said it. You can go see it. Yeah, but it's a conspiracy theory to think, you know, he meant what he said. Says what? He said it. He meant it. He's doing it. And it's working. And people go, nah, it's a conspiracy theory. What? That's like if Bill Cosby said, listen, if you drink this, I am going to you. And people are like, nah, you're not. That's a conspiracy theory. No, if you drink this, I will be in every one of your orifices by morning. You will wake up with my dick in your ear, I promise you. Nah, you're just being funny, Bill Cosby.
There's some hard issues coming up in the next 3 videos. We have to discuss this because it's evil. It's evil in our country, and it's all around the world. And I think people are starting to wake up. I'll try to lighten it up with more comedy at the end. You have to laugh.
I am genuinely thankful for these two bozos right here and their time in office. Because if it had not been for these last 4 years, I don't think most Americans would have gotten to actually see for themselves just how deep this rabbit hole goes. We would have not gotten the insights that then led an Elon to have an awakening, a Tulsi Gabbard, an RFK, a Joe Rogan, guy who was a lifelong Bernie supporter, okay? If we had not seen what the left truly is, what the so-called Democratic Party actually represents, which is the establishment, if we had not had the shit show of a campaign that was run between these two, Queen Cackles and Joe Carcass Biden himself, I don't think most Americans would have woken up in the way that we did. I feel like that was divine intervention. In the same way, DJT getting popped on that stage, standing up, covering his ear, blood running down his face, yelling, fight, fight, fight. Just like that moment was divine intervention, I believe this right here was all part of the plan. I genuinely believe that. At this point, I'm like, how did every single piece fall into place? And now we're stepping into an era, an age of justice where Congress is trying to pass a bill. Back in the day, we would not have paid a single memento of attention to that. Now we got that bill shut down overnight. No siree, all 1,500 pages, burn them. That's the era we're in right now. So thank y'all for y'all service. Queen Cackles and Joe Carcass Biden, we salute you.
We're going to stop woke. Woke is bullshit.
Isn't it true that leading up to the 2020 election, Twitter had weekly meetings with not just the FBI, with DOJ, with DHS, with DNI, to conduct this unconstitutional censorship by surrogate? We know that because the Twitter files, correct?
Correct.
And it was not just meetings, not just censorship of stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also now know that the FBI paid Twitter over $3.4 million of taxpayer funds to censor these stories before the 2020 election. Is that correct?
That money was paid. Twitter confirmed that.
And the Twitter files are just the tip of the iceberg because there's so much more. There was a corrupt revolving door at the highest levels between the FBI and Twitter. Look no further than Jim Baker, former general counsel at the FBI who helped unlawfully investigate Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Or look at Jim Comey's deputy chief of staff, who became the director of strategy at Twitter. Isn't it true, according to the Twitter files, that there were so many FBI officials who then went to work at Twitter that created their own Slack channel and crib sheet for onboarding? The Twitter files confirm that, correct?
Correct.
Are you aware, as the American people are aware, that according to polling, of the people that were made aware of the Hunter Biden laptop story, 53% would have changed their vote, including 61% of Democrats. This is the definition of election meddling, and it's the definition of election meddling by the FBI on behalf of Democrats, paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. It's collusion, it's corruption, and it's unconstitutional. Ms. Parker, I want to go to you next about your experience at the FBI, because this is not just about the Twitter files, which folks are focused on because of the news it made. It's about a systemic rot in the culture and the politicization of the leadership of the FBI, and it needs to be rooted out. Let's take a step back. Let's look at the targeting illegally of parents who wanted to stand up for their kids at school board meetings. On September 29, 2021, the National School Boards Association sent a letter to Joe Biden equating parents at school board meetings to domestic terrorists. And on October 4th, Attorney General Merrick Garland issued a memorandum to the FBI and U.S. attorneys that the department would use federal enforcement tools to target and prosecute these parents. Do you consider parents as domestic terrorists?
I do not consider parents as domestic terrorists. No, I do not.
No, and neither do the American people. But there's more to this story. It goes back further than that initial letter on September 29th. Because the letter didn't happen organically, it was solicited. It was solicited by the White House and by the Secretary of Education. Essentially, the Biden administration laid the predicate for which it used to justify illegally targeting the American people, targeting these parents. Is it proper protocol, as a former FBI officer, to set that predicate, to manufacture the reasoning to justify opening an investigation?
I believe that no one should be targeted for free speech and that violence should never be tolerated under any circumstance, but it should definitely not, no one should be targeted because they want to speak up at a school board meeting.
This was a setup, and it was the setup, and it's the real definition of weaponization of the government against the American people. And it's not just this example of targeting parents at School Boards Association. It goes back to the opening of Crossfire Hurricane. It goes back to the faulty FISA application. It goes back to what we heard on that first panel from Senators Grassley and Johnson. It goes back to the suppression illegally of the Hunter Biden laptop story paid for by the U.S. taxpayers. This corruption needs to be rooted out, and it's not just about protecting the U.S. Constitution. It is most importantly about protecting the American people from the weaponization of the federal government against them. Yield back.
This guy is brave for going undercover and getting these ladies to actually say this.
We're looking for livers and cardiac and those, yeah.
I can get you without any difficulty at all.
So this footage is being filmed by an undercover journalist. He goes to the National Abortion Federation's commercial trade show. This is being hosted at one of the biggest Planned Parenthoods in Texas. And this journalist is here to talk business.
Not every time I do a meet and Jeannie, I'm like, oh, there's some love.
Yeah, you already know.
And this lady is Dr. Ann. She's the chief medical officer of this Planned Parenthood. And Dr. Ann is in the business of selling baby parts.
You have to come and play with our tissue and see if it's cool enough for you.
I like tissues.
We have a lot of it.
And they're all like, yeah, it's pretty profitable too. We get 5 to 6 samples a week.
Most weeks, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, anywhere between 5 and 10 samples a week. So I have 2 providers who go up to 24 weeks, and Ann is one of the providers.
This lady is named Tram, and she's the vice president of abortion access at Planned Parenthood. And Tram's about to tell us how she loves freezing conjoined twin babies as prize specimens to look at.
We had 17-week twins in the freezer because we're waiting for a funeral home to pick them up. They were like the most intense, and I was like, but it's really
Yes, she knows what she's doing is psycho.
I'm like, yeah, I have like a leg for you. I'm like, oh shit. If other people were to hear me, they'd be like, you're a f***ing evil.
Now you might think that this is illegal and the stuff varies in all states. Well, it is, but they have their ways of getting around that.
If I'm doing a procedure and I'm in fear that it's about to come to the umbilicus, I might ask for a second set of forceps, hold the body at the cervix and pull off the leg.
Oh, so you gotta, okay.
So it's not...
Right.
What she's talking about is a partial birth abortion, where the baby is being birthed, legs out, and as the head and neck are still in the womb, they snip the back of the neck and suck the brains out.
When you have patients who like cooperate, some of them like just like, and there's good dilation, it's just like one pass and
you get the whole thing.
Is that,
After this convention, the undercover journalist writes a contract offer to Tram. We'll give you $750 for the baby's liver and $1,600 for the liver and thymus paired. Tram's all on board, and she forwards it to her higher-ups. Now, this was led by an organization called the Center for Medical Progress, which was founded by a journalist named David Daleiden. After these videos were released, David's house was raided by the state, and they took the video footage of the crime that Planned Parenthood has been involved in. Planned Parenthood is still funded hundreds of millions of dollars by your taxes every year. Planned Parenthood needs to be defunded.
But why did you endorse Donald Trump?
Well, you know, when I dropped out, my first choice went with me. But I said that I was, you know, I was going to remain neutral. But then I realized that, you know, the political establishment was aligning to protect their turf. And they don't like the idea of people who are not beholden to them and who cannot be controlled coming into Washington, D.C. And that was one of the reasons they didn't like me very much, but I was easier to get rid of than Donald Trump. I always say one of the ways that you measure a person is looking at their children. And how do their children act?
Well, one's a big game hunter. I'm not thrilled with that.
Well, I mean, that's your privilege. But the fact of the matter is, you know, they have been raised very well. They're very respectful. And, you know, I look at a lot of kids who come from very wealthy families, and I am appalled at what I see. So there is no perfect person, but what I think is really the worst thing that threatens our nation right now is a political class, a ruling class, and they are so threatened by anybody who is not beholden to them, they will do virtually anything. The nature of our country is at stake. We are on the precipice, and we are determining what kind of nation we're going to be. Are we going to be a nation that's upformed by the people or upformed by the government? This is a choice that we are making right now.
Okay, he said that there would be room for you in his cabinet, in his administration. Did he make any promises to you, and is that behind your endorsement?
No, not at all. And in fact, you know, we agreed that we want to save this nation, particularly for the next generation, and talked about a variety of ways to do it. I'm continuing to work on mechanisms of presenting ladders of opportunity that will allow the downtrodden in our society to climb out of the state of dependency. Right now, the programs that have been put forth by both Democrats and Republicans for the last few decades are doing nothing but creating more dependency. We've gone from a can-do nation to a what can you do for me nation. It's not a good thing, and it's not helping America, and it's not helping the world.
This is the largest coincidence in history. See if your history teacher can explain this. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost a child while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Now it gets really weird. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, was born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their 3 names. Both names are composed of 15 letters. Now hang on to your seat. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln Made by Ford. Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. And Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the assassin ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the assassin ran to a theater.
Finally, one of these big-ass motherfuckers crashes in New York. NYPD recovers it, and guess what company owns it? That's right, you guessed it, Amagi Incorporated, and the CEO is Sheng Hoon Woo, a very, very American name. And you'll never guess who their top investor is. What? It can't be. There's no way that BlackRock's involved with this drone business. So like I told you for the last 30 days, it's nothing but a psyop. It's nothing but corruption. BlackRock needs taken down, as well as Joe Biden's bitch ass, how he's selling the wall for the border right now for $300 million a pop. So they need to go to jail, and it needs to happen soon.
Stop woke. Woke is bullshit.